Okay, so I'm gonna tell a story based on true events. The only way I could tell this story is the way that I experienced it, which is multiple ways all at once. So if the story is happening in layers and I'm telling more than one story at the same time, and I'm giving you more than one perspective, more than one point of view all at once, that's just how it happened. So I met this beautiful man. And before I met him, I saw him. I saw him, like extrasensory perception saw him. I saw this vivid image of this man. And in the moment, I was painting. So I just kind of like swiped it away, the image away, and was just like, oh, okay, and just go on by my day. And then later, I'm like standing inside of this little shop, getting something to eat. I'm looking at the menu, and I hear a voice so loud. It felt like a roar. But all he was doing was like laughing and having a conversation, but it had the effect on me like a roar would. And I turned around, and our eyes met immediately. We looked at each other at the same time. I was looking at him, he was looking at me. And I didn't say anything for a number of reasons, okay? One is that he had blue eyes. He had blue eyes. And it wasn't just regular blue eyes. No. These eyes were like true blue. He was like piercing me with his eyes. And I don't have many interactions with blue-eyed people because a lot of the people around me have brown eyes. I've only really had brown eyes in my surrounding circle. And I have brown eyes. So when I was looking at him, I was just like, what? Whoa. Second of all, he was an older man. How much older? When I wrote a character description of him, I put like maybe like 40s to 50s, somewhere in that range, like somewhere in there. Maybe late 50s. But he didn't look it. But he felt it. He looked just like, okay, this is it. This is the moment where I think I turned around. Is that he looked just like James McAvoy on Split. Just like him. But it wasn't James McAvoy. But it was in my head. I didn't say anything to him. Even though we were literally looking in each other's eyes for at least a few seconds. I think we were both kind of shook a little bit. Like, I didn't say anything, he didn't say anything. And when I say he looked like James McAvoy on Split, I'm talking about like he had the shaved head. He had the face. the blue eyes. He had these huge frames, like these glasses, that he was looking at me through. And you could tell he was really, really disciplined because he was really buff. Like, he was really built. He had a lot of muscle, you know what I mean? And he was tall. And his stance, the way that he came to a stop was that he stood feet shoulder width apart and his arms crossed. But he's a man, so it's probably just like naturally. But for me, I perceive that body language as like a sign of disappointment or disapproval or hostility, crossing your arms like that. Just because of where I come from, where I was raised. Especially when you don't say anything. If you don't say anything and you cross your arms, oh, you got a problem. So I didn't want no problems with him. Because I was like, you know what? I don't know if it's because of what I look like. Because I'm just this like brown skin girl standing here by herself with a freaking canvas in my hand. And this art supplies in this freaking salad shop. I'm just gonna turn around. You know, I don't. And he didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything. And, you know, I'm actually, like, not even that type of person. I would typically just smile or something, but he didn't smile, I didn't smile. I just think we both just weren't expecting to, like, look into each other's eyes and feel whatever we were feeling, okay? And so after I turned around, he spoke. And he started asking me about my painting. And it was the first time anyone had ever asked me, was I an artist? Definitely a turning point for me creatively. Because no one had ever asked me that before. And I didn't know how to answer him. I took a moment to pause to, like, figure out, am I an artist? Well, I mean, I have a canvas in my hand. I put some paint on it. Maybe I am an artist. So I was like, yeah. And then he asked to see my painting. But can I just say, like, the entire time he was looking at me, I wasn't even present. I wasn't present there in the conversation because, one, his eyes were literally, like, grabbing a hold of my mind. And I wanted to see where he was going with this because he's also an older man. At the time I was 21. I'm 22 now. So I'm this young 21-year-old and this older man is like all up in my grill, all up in my personal space, trying to figure out what's going on with me. And so for me, just being the intuitive being that I am, I'm looking at his mannerisms. I'm paying attention to his behaviors. I'm paying attention to what he's saying when he's not speaking, so that I can figure out what his intention is for even interacting with me in the first place. Because in my head, again, I'm still like experiencing this James McAvoy parallel in my head. And it's so wild because I loved that movie, that film, until I met this man. And I don't want to say I feared him, but I didn't like the fact that I had the potential to fear him if I had fed into the beliefs if I had projected onto him this image of James McAvoy that I was seeing in my head, I would have treated him so differently. I would have been really nasty to, I feel like, a person who was being just so genuine to me. And I didn't like the fact that I had these like preconceived ideas about him because I'm a brown person. I don't need to be having no preconceived ideas or stereotypes or nothing about anybody because I live in a world that does that to me naturally. So I just didn't like that it put me in that space where I couldn't just be present in the conversation with this man, but I was just paying attention to everything that he did, hoping that he didn't end up like James McAvoy. Like, what the heck, bruh? Not to call him James McAvoy, because the character isn't James McAvoy, but it is James McAvoy, okay? It's James McAvoy. We know this. I feel like it would probably be more appropriate if I said the character's name, but I want to be specific, because if I just say the character's name, there's a whole lot of different characters that he is, so I want to be specific and say who starred as the character, as the role, as the whole part. Okay, it was freaking James McAvoy. That's what he looked like. And so, mind you, on my canvas, I was painting a man who was brown. I was painting this man who was brown. Except he's not brown in reality. He's just brown in my mind. But when the guy, I didn't even get his name. When the man who was looking at me, right, he asked to see my canvas, I felt so insecure about myself, about the fact that I was brown. And I felt like it was the only thing about me that he could see. And that probably wasn't true. He probably just thought I was a beautiful young woman, you know what I mean? Like, but I couldn't like be there with him in that way, because I was just like, whoa, you're really, really doing things to my head right now. Because you look like James McAvoy on Split. And I didn't say that to him. And I was trying to treat him as human-like as I possibly could. But there were moments during our conversation where he could tell I was somewhere else. And I was trying to like reassure him, like, no, like, I'm okay. But I am somewhere else, okay? I can't even enjoy this like possible love at first sight moment, because that's how it felt initially. Before he spoke to me, I felt like that moment where we just both looked at each other and we didn't say anything at all. He didn't smile, I didn't smile. He felt angelic. He felt otherworldly. And there was just something about him. And the fact that I had saw him before I saw him. And when I let him see my canvas, he came up to me. Like, he got really, really close, like really inside my bubble. And while he was looking at my canvas, he put his hand on my back. But it was super, super low. Like, if he had placed it even a millimeter lower, okay, if his pinky would have moved just a little bit, it would have no longer been on my back. And when I think about that moment, how I felt in that moment where he did that, I feel like every possible way about it. Part of me feels like, oh my goodness, why is he touching me this way? I don't know him. Why does he think it's okay to touch me that way? And then the other part of me was like, calm. It actually calmed me down because I was so on edge. I feel like if he didn't put his hand on me, the rest of the conversation, I wouldn't, it just probably wouldn't have gone as smoothly as it did. Because there was something about his touch that made me, it was like his way of saying, hey, you don't have to be afraid, without saying, hey, you don't have to be afraid. Because he was actually with someone. Like, he had someone with him. So the fact that he just kind of like walked away from the guy that he was with and just started this whole conversation with me kind of reminded me, like, okay, I'm alone, but he's not alone. And I appreciate the universe because I feel like I'm always taken care of. I was alone, but he wasn't, which is a good thing. That means no matter what, there is bystander, right? There's somebody watching. Is bystander the word that I really wanted to say? Like, does that... Well, it's the word that I used. Maybe that's how I felt. I felt like that guy was a bystander because he didn't ever interfere. He didn't ever come over. He didn't ever be like, oh, hey. He didn't be like, oh, who's your friend? Like, he didn't do none of that. He just stood over there and just watched. He just watched. He didn't ever interfere. But I mean, I don't blame him. The guy, like the man who came up to me, the one who looked like James McAvoy, he was so dominant. He was dominant, and he was like large, and he looked like if he had took off his shirt and he had really like tapped in, he could have gave me the beast. That's how he looks. But I was saying that he placed his hand on me and it calmed me down. I was a lot less on edge. And it wasn't like he was trying to... It didn't feel like he meant anything like nasty by it, you know, putting his hand on me. I kind of felt like he was just trying to be a gentleman, but you know, the other part of me is like, still, I didn't like that he touched me that way and he didn't ask. I feel like I would have preferred for him to ask, but it's okay that he didn't. And it's also like we're in the middle of this freaking like restaurant kind of thing. And there's all of these people around and he's interacting with me like we're the only two people in there. He was treating it like we were the only person, like I was the only person in the room also. Like, that's how it made me feel. So there's a lot of things going on in my head. And also the fact that I'm trying to, like, remember that he's an older man. And I don't want to be... You know, there's all this stuff going on in my head. Like, is he trying to take advantage of me? What is his point? What does he want with me? What is going on? There's that and all the other. And also the fact that I keep thinking about the fact that I'm brown. I'm brown. He's not brown. He has freaking blue eyes. He has blue eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, the man has blue eyes. And I think it was my first blue eye experience that like changed me. It changed me because he looked into my soul. I saw it. And I think I looked into his, and that's probably why he had to speak to me. I think we saw each other. But I didn't know how he was going to react, so I just turned around. But in the end, he was saying such beautiful things to me. And you know why I feel so I feel grateful about it. I feel like so many things. And that I wasn't engaging in conversation with him because I was so just, I didn't want to, I didn't want to play. I didn't want to play with But in the end, the last thing that he said to me was, good luck with your life. And he didn't. He ended up not even asking for my number. He didn't even ask me for my name. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And so when I look back to it and like known that it just would have been a really pure, just lighthearted, wholesome interaction. I would have liked to be a little bit more present in it because he was genuinely so nice to me in a way that I feel like isn't really normal for men. Mindful that I didn't say natural isn't really normal for men. Like, I think he felt an attraction to me, but I didn't feel like he was pressing it on me. No. I think he just saw an opportunity to have a really nice interaction with this brown girl that literally, I don't know, he probably thought I was beautiful. I thought he was beautiful. The conversation ended up being beautiful. I left feeling beautiful. And that's the thing, he didn't ever call me beautiful. He didn't ever call me beautiful, but I walked away feeling beautiful. He didn't ever address my physical appearance at all. Maybe he did, like, in a very subtle manner. Like when he put his freaking hand on my back. But it's just the fact that he didn't ask for my number. He didn't want anything from me. Like, in the end, he walked away with, like, nothing. Like, at all. And I walked away feeling so beautiful after the interaction that I had with that man. And I was over here looking at him like he was James McAvoy on Split. So I painted him like 3 times. I painted him once, and I painted him as an angel. Because I think that's what I was seeing behind, like, all of the other stuff that I was seeing. That was going on with me psychologically, man. Okay. So I painted him so that I could get it out. And I feel like if anyone was projecting, it was me. But I did my best to not let him feel it. Because that wouldn't have been a good feeling. Can you imagine if I would have treated him like based on the way I saw him in my head? Can you imagine if I had treated him like that? Like he was a beast? Oh my goodness. But I think James McAvoy is so phenomenal in that. Like, it's so phenomenal. But I just think the movie, in the long run, I just don't think it served the highest purpose. In the long run, I think it's beautifully done. And it feels like art. But it makes me so sad that I saw him that way. Because I wouldn't want anyone to like see me and treat me some kind of way just because of how I was depicted in a film, or how someone with my image, someone with my likeness and image. And after that, I literally had to say a prayer. I had to write a prayer. I had to pray, okay, for that man. Because pray that like he doesn't get treated based on like how he looks. Because again, I know what that feels like. I'm a brown girl. I'm a brown skinned being. Man. And my thing is like, even if he was like James McAvoy on Split, and when I say like James McAvoy on Split this time, I'm just talking about just being the type of personality of that role. You know, even if he was like that, even still, I just didn't like that I had all of these. I had only bad outcomes. The only time there wasn't a bad outcome was when I was totally and fully present, which was only moments where he would kind of be like, hey, like, are you like, hello? While I'm just staring in his eyes, kind of lost in his eyes a bit. Man. But I wrote about him in my journal immediately after we had our interaction. I couldn't even stay in the same room with him because it was just overwhelming me. And also, I think there was an attraction there. Like, I think we were attracted to each other in a way that just really didn't seem appropriate, even though I'm literally 21, so it didn't really matter necessarily. But there was just something about the interaction that just felt like, So I was trying to hurry away from him, but he wouldn't let me go until he, like, wished me good luck with my life. What the heck? With my life, that was, oh my goodness, it made me want to cry. No one has ever said something like that to me. Good luck with your life. I mean, people say good luck, but like with my whole life. I just thought he was sweet and genuine, so I wrote it in my journal. And then while I was writing about him in my journal, I felt this urge. I felt this urge to turn around and look behind me. And this has happened before. I believe it happens when the angels are like literally tapping on my shoulder, being like, hey, pay attention to your surroundings. It's happened to me before, and I turned around and I saw exactly what I needed to see. This time I turned around and he was standing behind me. He was standing right behind me, while I was writing about him in my journal. But he wasn't like facing me, like staring at my head or something. No, he was turned around, facing the opposite direction, but we were back to back. But his presence was just so strong that it like pulled my attention. And also because he touched me, I could feel him. He made like literally a connection with my physical body. So just naturally, the gravitational pull is like I'm feeling him pull me because he probably saw me when he came out. So who knows? He's probably like, should I talk to her? Should I not? Or maybe he was just like, I'm going to leave her alone. Either way, he left me alone. He didn't say anything to me. He left me alone. And because he left me alone, I didn't say anything when, like, after I realized that he was behind me. I was just like, oh, okay. Well, bye. And I think there were so many moments where he could have validated my James McAvoy comparison. But he didn't. The fact that he had another opportunity to speak to me and he didn't do it made me so grateful that he didn't speak to me again, because I felt like it proved whatever freaking like it proved whatever stereotype that movie created wrong. It proved it freaking wrong. It proved it wrong. For me, it proved it wrong. And even if in the moments he was being so encouraging, and I felt like I wouldn't have mind staying in contact because of how beautiful I felt at the end. Like, just in general. But it was worth not getting any contact information from him, not even his name, not even giving him my name, just to really realize the purity, the like innocence in the interaction that we had. You know, and I felt like as a 21-year-old girl, I need those kind of things. I need those type of interactions with men where I see like a man that I literally don't even know. A man that I don't even know. He's a stranger. And when he comes up to me and he interacts with me, he's not trying to get my number. And he's an older man at that. He's an older man. Okay, he's an older man. And he was a beautiful man, y'all. I'm telling you, I had not ever, blue eyes didn't ever make me feel that way. Okay. But he was a very handsome man, and I felt like he couldn't help but to make some sort of attraction known, because I think that was just how organic the flow, you know, the like exchange of energy that we had. It was organic. But I enjoyed that he didn't get nothing from me and I didn't get anything from him except just the memory, you know, the fact that like what we felt in that moment. And that's it. And I really cherish it. Like, I cherish that moment in my life, even though I was kind of going through so much. I was going through so much. Oh my goodness. And that's by myself. Like, I'm not ever alone, because I really always have my angels with me. But like, I'm still trying to process all of this, and I'm physically out here by myself, you know, and I'm a brown girl. I gotta be hyper aware, especially when this white man with these blue eyes looking like James McAvoy over here and Split coming over here to talk to me. It was just peculiar, and also it was the first time I had been in public with my canvas, with like a painting, so it just attracted a lot of attention to me, which I don't really care to do when I'm in public, because I like being in my own little world. I like just tuning out the world because I can do that. So when someone is kind of like invading my internal silence with their curiosity, it makes me a little bit alert. Because I'm like, who are you? And why are you interested in my little world that I got going on here? But the truth is, I think also another reason why it's impacting me so much is that he was a white man with blue eyes. Like, it wasn't a black man who made me feel that way or gave me that experience. All of the other experiences that I have, somebody's trying to get my freaking number. Somebody's trying to get my number. They're trying to get my name. They're trying to know how old I am. They're trying to do all this. It's just nice to have a human interaction sometimes. And I like that. I didn't, like, yes, after the fact, I didn't even think about the fact that neither one of us got each other's name or anything. I didn't think about that until like way after the fact. I had this freaking like huge epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, what is that man's name? Because I was just like, oh, like, I feel so beautiful right now. Like, the effect that he left. It just left me feeling really like I was floating or something, you know. And then that moment where I'm like, wait a minute, I don't know his name. I don't even know the man's name. He don't even know my name. But that's what's so pure about it. And I will always cherish that experience, even though it's taken me some time to get over the fact that he is a white man. That he did have blue eyes, and that he did give me that experience. An experience that men who share my same complexion have not given me, you know what I mean? Like, okay, that's my story. Okay, story time. Yay. The end.